Hey, this is Martin Perdomo, the Elite Strategist, and you're listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing Podcast. And today I have a special guest. His name is Shawn Tiberio. He is the author of the book, Fortifying Your Mind. I love that title, by the way, Shawn. He's an entrepreneur, a professional keynote speaker as well. Over the years, Shawn is the author of Fortifying. Yep, I got that already. Shawn has helped six to seven figures companies. He's helped them build up. He is. I'm just gonna narrate it. He's pretty awesome, man. He's pretty sharp when it comes to digital marketing. As investors, we tend to overlook our digital presence, and I wanted to get Shawn on here to talk to us about that. Shawn, I know I didn't do any justice in your intro. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself? I kind of fumbled through that. That's cool with that.
It's all right. It's all right.
Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and who you are? Because you're also an investor. I know you also have 40 doors, so you have a really unique approach with what you do.
Yeah. I mean, first off, thanks for having me on the show. I kind of feel special. It's Latinos in real estate, and maybe I'm the token Italian guy that got to come on the show. I don't know. But a little bit about myself, real quick. As Martin was saying, I am the author of Fortifying Your Mind. It's my claim to fame. Nobody ever thought I'd ever write a book, and to be able to say that I've published a book is like the biggest accomplishment. I don't care if I ever sell any more copies of it at all, quite frankly, on that front. But over the years, I've built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. We've sold off a couple of those, and I've also helped to this point, it's well over a couple thousand businesses across this nation really kind of hone in and start to build the business that they always wanted to. And through that, I've really come to fall in love with and put a lot of my energy and studies into the area of digital marketing. I got into business in 2011. Facebook was kind of the big thing. Websites, not so much. It was like, hey, have one and you're good kind of thing. Well, you fast forward to 2020 and a lot's changed. There's a lot of things happening online compared to back at the beginning. And I've personally kind of witnessed that growth through our businesses and leveraging it and seeing how it works. So to be able to give back and help businesses in those fronts now has been kind of a big joy for us.
Yeah. Look, man, one of my struggles, and one of the reasons I wanted to invite you here, and I have you here. Thank you for coming again, Shawn. I know you're busy. I know you've taken some time to be here. Shawn, one of the reasons is because as investors, we tend to overlook our digital presence, right? And what I think that happens is that when, as investors, we're so busy taking down the deal, as from one investor to another. You own 40 doors, by the way, guys. Shawn owns 40 doors in Ohio. And, we're so busy looking for the deals, taking them down, underwriting them, that we tend to forget that we need to create a brand for ourselves online, right? Hey, I'm guilty of that. That's how I know. So I know the importance of, could you share with us the importance? I know from talking to you guys but could you share with us the importance of having that digital presence, whether you're a flipper, whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a buy and hold guy, a landlord? Could you tell us why that's important for us to have that footprint online?
Absolutely. I mean, I could obviously go super cliche here and say, just take a look at what's going on right now with COVID and everything else. But I think it's even before all that. I think if anything, the COVID crisis and everything that's going on in the economy and with businesses right now, it's just kind of put an amplification on the businesses that aren't online, that don't have that digital footprint. They're the ones that are struggling and hurting. It doesn't matter the industry, right? Now take that and go real estate for a second. You got a lot of people being financially impacted. They're struggling. Mortgages are going to start to, right now things are being relieved of, and you don't need to make payments, and there's different policies out there. At some point that's going to come to an end. And when people don't have work and don't have income and bills start to stack up, they're going to be looking for the way out. And where do they look? Well, back in the day, it was grab a phone book or get in the local newspaper or, try to go out to the local billboard place and find who can help me. Today it's grab my cell phone, grab my tablet, grab my computer, whatever I've got, and let me get on Google.
Yeah.
And that's where they're starting their search for the assistance, for the help, for the pain and the struggle that they're in. And as a real estate investor, I don't care what area of investing you fall in, people that are leaving their homes and need to find a rental, landlords that are out there, if you're not showing up in searches for properties for rent, and I'm not talking about your property just showing up, I'm talking about who you are as a business, why they should rent from you, what makes you different and unique. You're leaving business opportunities out there for your competition. And I had this talk with somebody the other day, a client of ours. The reason it's so easy for real estate investors right now to dominate online is very few are actually doing it.
Wow.
So think about that. If you're sitting there looking at your business right now and you're like, yeah, I'm not really doing much. The good news is you don't have to work too hard at the moment because not too many real estate investors are doing this. So imagine what that could do to your business if you start to put just a little attention onto it.
Onto online. So, okay, so someone might be listening out there, a guy like myself, right? I'm going to put myself there. And, for a lot of people, this digital stuff is a lot. You got social media, you got YouTube, you got Facebook, you got so much website. There's so much to manage. So it could be overwhelming, Shawn, right? I can tell you for someone like me that, we're busy. I'm running multiple businesses. I got different things going on, and it could be overwhelming. Where does a person start, Shawn? How does a person get started to organize themselves? How does a person get started? How does a real estate investor get started to take advantage of that opportunity? Because you're 100% right. If I go right now and I look online, Google locally here, I'm in Pennsylvania, you're in California, and I look locally, we buy houses cash, and what we find locally in my town is the big we buy houses nationwide guys, right? There's no local people. Like, I need to be ranking there. And I'm guilty of it. I'm gonna tell you, you're here because I'm learning from you, Shawn. You're here because you're talking to me, right? So where does someone get started? How does someone do that? How does someone, where do you start? There's so much to do. Where does one start?
It's a phenomenal question, and it's something we hear all the time. I've got YouTube, I got Facebook, I got Instagram, I got LinkedIn, I've got offline campaigns, I've got all this stuff. At the end of the day, you got to understand where, and I'm gonna kind of go into a teaching mode here for a second, if that's cool.
Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely. Please, that's value. Teach us, please.
Every customer, every prospect, it doesn't matter. Again, we'll talk real estate here specific, but it doesn't matter the industry. Every one of your potential sellers or possible tenants, they go through a journey. There's a starting point and an ending point. And that starting point is they're just trying to become aware of who the heck anybody is. What are the options? Who's out there? From there, they get engaged. That's the second phase there. They come into an engagement phase. Then they move into what's known as the subscribe stage. That's where they're kind of subscribed to your business in a sense. So awareness is they just kind of learn. And I always relate this back to dating. So it's like I went to the bar and I see a girl from across the bar and she sees me. She's now aware. I'm now aware. I know she exists. She knows that I exist. The engagement phase is the small talk, right? We're chit-chatting, hanging out for the evening, just having some small conversation. And by the end of the night, one of us is trying to get the other one's contact information, phone number, something, right? That's the subscribe stage. The problem most real estate investors make is they go from ignorant, the aware phase, straight to try to, hey, here's my phone number, call me. They miss the whole engagement phase in the middle of it. And when you ask that question about like, where do I begin to organize? Many of the real estate investors, I'm sure, that listen to your podcast, watch this stuff that you've worked with, whatever the case, they're pretty good about once they get on the phone with somebody, moving through the next process. It's about getting them to the phone call, right? So the organization needs to happen in that awareness and engagement. And the best place to build trust and confidence is online. So we start to look at all the different things that we can be doing online. But we have to ask ourselves, what is the point of each one of those? is Facebook really the place to sell my business, in a sense, to get somebody to want to do business with me? Not really. Is my website, though, where it's mine and it's housing everything that I've got, and it can clearly explain it, is that the place to finally kind of go to that subscribe stage? Like, hey, here's my phone number. Let's exchange information. Yeah. So we got to get them to the website. So you have to almost look at all the social media stuff as being part of your awareness. It's just there to stir up, get people to know who you are. And you want to get them to the site. You want to get them over to your website, because that is where it's like, now I finally got her to let me buy her a drink. We're on my website, right? Yep. Now I can actually have a little deeper conversation because we're going to have a drink together. I got longer time with you. And when I'm done with that drink, or when you're done reading some of the stuff that's on my site, it's okay to say, hey, give me your name and email. Give me your phone number. Here's my phone number. Call us, kind of thing.
I love that. I love that analogy that you use, Shawn. And I want to share from my perspective again, because I host this podcast so I can learn. I learn.
Absolutely.
I learn more from my when my listeners, I do it, my listeners also learn, but I also learn a ton, and I'm learning a ton from you. So you're saying number one is we need to get them to our website, right?
Absolutely.
Not Facebook, not Instagram, the goal should be come to my place, my digital place, right? Visit my digital place, not Facebook's digital place. Okay, so a lot of us get caught up in, because social media does such a good job, right? Those big conglomerates, they do such a good job at selling us and creating community and selling us on this idea that, hey, here's where everything's happening. There's that illusion of here's where everything's happening. So let's say someone has a lot of engagement on social media. Now, how does one bring that engagement onto their own site? And how and when is Facebook useful, or Instagram, or one of those things for us as investors? When are those tools useful for us? And how do we bring them from there to us?
Absolutely. And here's why. Let's talk why first. You don't own anything on Facebook. Facebook owns it. You don't own anything on Instagram. You don't own anything on YouTube. They own it, right? And you're battling against an algorithm. So you're battling against a computer that decides when and where and who is going to see your stuff. So when we look at the social component of it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, those platforms are used to open the door to our site. So you have to look at, in digital marketing, there's what's known as ungated and gated content. Ungated is free stuff. It's just out there, right? It's the stuff that you talk about all the time. This podcast is a form of ungated content, right? Yep. Everybody that's watching and listening, they have no idea who I am. They're just becoming aware. They're paying attention. They're watching. They're listening now longer. They're becoming more engaged, right? Mm-hmm. This is all ungated information. Now, your gated information, and you can go in two phases of gates. Some of your bigger, more kind of free knowledge, but you don't want it out there on social platforms, because again, we want to invite them over, should live on your website. So look at some of your information and say, okay, I tease a little bit with what's out there on the social platforms. I give a little bit of the content, a little bit of the answer, because again, it's just there to build awareness. They just stumbled upon me. Maybe I'm running ads. They see my ad. It intrigues them enough to go, let me go check out the deeper information over on the website. And where that kind of stuff lives on the website is either in very detailed service pages. So even as real estate investors, everybody tells us all the time, yeah, my service is I buy houses. No, your service is you help with foreclosures, you help with bankruptcies, you help with probate, whatever it is that you specialize in. You can do a lot of things, but there's probably one or two types of transactions you'll love to do. Detailed information about that should live on a very detailed service page. Why? That also helps rank when they're searching for that stuff on Google. Secondly, your blogs. Your blogs are a phenomenal place to deliver deeper information about how you help the prospect, how you help this seller, how you help tenants, how you help individuals get better rates of return in their lendings. Because now on social, you tease it a little bit and it's, hey, do you want to dig deeper in this? You want to spend a little bit more time with me? Would you like to get to know me a little bit better? Come on over here. Now I've got them on my website. Now I've got them at my digital house, so to say. And that's where I'm able to start to play the game of, or, you know, and our clients, we work with them to do this, to have other places. Now, the second phase of that gate gets them into the subscribe. So something for your listeners to take away from here. Your social content and your blog content and anything that's on your website should talk about what and why. What is the problem? What is the answers to their problems, and why? Why is that helpful? Why is that something they should do? Why is that the number one problem? Right? It's all the stuff I've been talking about up to this point. What it is, why? What it is, why? The how lives in the subscribe stage. After we've exchanged some information, after you've given me a name and an email address, after you've picked up the phone and called me and I've got your phone number, now I'll tell you deeper how, the step-by-step process, right? Let's go to investors, trying to target private investors, for example, here. There's a way that as a real estate investor, borrowing money from a private individual, we structure everything, the products, you know, the documents that we use, the procedures that we follow, the rates of return that we give, how we do the payouts, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's all the how. That's all the how it happens. I don't want to lead with all that stuff. I want to lead with what it is that they should be considering. Why should they be considering private lending? What are the benefits to them? How stays off over here? Why is it beneficial? What can they get out of it? What are the security features of it, right? What are the bonuses, benefits? What are the drawbacks to other forms of investment? And when they start asking, okay, well, how do I do that? Great, that's over here. Let's exchange information and go on a date. Let's go on a date where I can tell you a little bit more on how I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life, how I'm going to, you know, love you forever.
Man, I'm taking a ton of notes here, brother. I'm taking a ton of notes. So, okay. So now you have someone, I'm learning so much from you, Shawn. Thank you. And I'm sure my listeners are too. So now I have someone, I'm on Facebook, and like I said, I have all of this stuff. How do I bring them from there to me? So can you give me an example of how someone that's got a ton of stuff and they got a ton of people they're very engaging, because that's some of the stuff I hear is you got to engage in groups, you got to engage, and you got to do this and you got to do that. I think there's a place for that. And once you do that, then what would you say is a good strategy to say then to invite them out on a date, to invite them, hey, why don't you come visit me over here? Right? Can you give me an example of something like that?
Yeah. So first things first, to get them even over to the website, we talk about this a lot with Top Results Consulting. It's all about your blogs. The blogs are such a powerful thing, and blogging today is not what people think blogging is. You know, when blogging first kind of came around, it was, you know, Martin, you maybe went out and did a bunch of travel, and you wrote about your travels and you posted it to some page and that kind of thing.
Exactly what I did. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what people think that blogging still is. Well, blogging has changed completely, and it's thanks to technology. I don't want to say her name because she's sitting right back here on the shelf. You guys know those devices. Got another one in my pocket, you know, the cell phone with the name. Thanks to them and people just being so quick to say, hey, you know, blah, 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 tell me this, or what is this, or how can I do this? Google, and we favor Google because they're the leader, right? They've gone to this kind of process of they send their spiders out and they're looking for answers. So blogging today is all about providing the answer. So you want to talk about how do I get them off of Facebook and over? When you're engaging in Facebook groups, when you're engaging with your posts, when you're putting something out there and people are asking you deeper questions, having an arsenal of the answers living over here on your website, AKA your blogs, and sending them links and telling them, hey, I wrote about this last week. I wrote about this a month ago. You know, we've done a couple series on this. You like to do some YouTube stuff. You know, hey, I got this video, but
Mm-hmm.
also transcribe that video or do a written version of it. And it's like, hey, here's a blog and a video that you can watch that'll help you better understand that. Now, again, that's not giving them all the answers. We don't want to give it all away right there.
Mm.
At the end of the blog, at the end of the video, we talk about subscribe now. This is where having a strong call to action, whether that's an informational call to action, which is what I'm a big proponent of. You should never, there's high threshold and low threshold. You should never jump to the high threshold. Telling somebody right after they read your website for a little bit or read a blog or watched a video of yours to call you to talk about getting a fast cash offer, that's like trying to ask them to marry you the second you bought them the first drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work, right? You got to get on a second, a third, a fourth date to get to that point. So you want a lower threshold offer, whether that be maybe it's a 5-step guide to selling your house in a post-COVID world, and they have to opt in, exchange a name and an email address to get that. Now they're getting some deeper. Now they're getting the house, right? But you see how we've exchanged. We're getting deeper. They opened up the gate, right, to get that. They gave us a name and an email, or maybe a name, email, phone number. We'll text them a link, something like that. Maybe that is we've got one investor that's doing this a lot. They give away a checklist, and it's basically a checklist that any seller could go through to see if their house is ready for the market and ready for top dollar. Well, that checklist is designed to get them to see, no, it's not. And at the bottom of the checklist now, because they've opted in to get the checklist, they go through it, they're walking their own house, they're checking things off, and they're realizing, oh, shoot, I got a lot of stuff to clean up before I can get top dollar based on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we didn't just take them straight to that. They've built up trust in the company through reading blogs, watching videos, being on a website, and realizing this company is actually, they know what they're talking about. So when they do the checklist, they start to believe it. And when they see that it doesn't work or that they're not going to get this top dollar, who are they more likely to get on the phone with now?
That's right.
Now we're getting the second date.
Got it. Okay, so I got a couple of questions for you. My first question is, so basically you want to use social media. I want to make sure I understood this for myself. I want to use social media to engage people and just kind of this high level of engagement so when people start asking me questions, I can say, hey, I did a video about this, or I did a blog about this, or I did a podcast about this. Here, go check out go to my web. Here's a link to this. I just wrote about this the other day, right? So then I'm getting them out of there and over there. Did I get that right, Shawn?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
great.
And all that stuff anybody could sit down right now and think about what are the 10 most common questions you get asked. As a real estate investor, go sellers, start there, right? And just go down the list. What are the 10 most common things I get asked by sellers? Well, there's 10 pieces of content that you could create. There's 10 blogs right there.
Okay. Now my next question is, Shawn, what about if you're a busy professional, you have a lot of things. So sometimes we don't have time to blog, right? Because we're married, kids, businesses, this, that. Again, I'm talking for myself here. And we don't have the time to sit down there and write, or they're not a good writer. Does your company help with that?
Absolutely.
What do you do there? Like, how does that work? And how does can your company help with that respect? Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. I mean, Top Results Consulting, we are a complete done-for-you digital marketing agency. We have other packages for those that aren't ready for the full done-for-you things. They still want to do some things on their own. But we do have packages that involve blogging, where we're writing one blog a week, highly optimized, highly keyword searched, right? Very common for the industry, so that you're getting solid content that's out there for you, optimizing every aspect of it, posting it, managing it, all of that kind of stuff. But it is, we recommend minimum of 2 a week. And those blogs, I get it. Not everybody likes to, first off, I hate writing. I hate writing. Now, there's ways to outsource it too. We have a team of writers. I don't write our blogs. We have a team of writers. But those blogs, they don't need to be super long, right? At this early stage of a business trying to get a footprint online, 5 to 7, 8, maybe 800 words is all that blog really needs to be. Because again, you're really just focusing in on how and why, how and why. You're not getting into the details. You're not trying to map out the whole process. And
Mm-hmm.
when you really sit down and think about it, 500 to 800 words, you can write that pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, so a lot of us have this issue. Me being, I'm working with you, hence why I have you here, because you guys are doing a tremendous job for my real estate investors meetup website, and it's coming out beautifully, by the way. So, how do you guys solve that problem? How do you help? How can you help an investor? Because that's what this podcast is all about. Is about helping people get better. The purpose of my life is to empower others to get better, to live, to be the best version of themselves. I've chosen this vehicle to help people and teach people through real estate. So how can you help them? How does Tops Result Solutions help an investor along this journey?
Yeah. So, I mean, anything from your basic website build out all the way through more advanced SEO work with citations and link backs. I mean, we really can help anybody in any way. So if anybody's interested, all they got to do is go to topresultsconsulting.com and you can take a look at our service page. You'll see all the different services that we offer. There's some other information on there that you guys can look at. And then if you're ready to schedule a call where we can get on a Zoom call like this, and pretty much in 30 minutes, we'll show you exactly what you need to do to enhance your online presence. And then at that point, you can decide, go do it, or come over to us and let us help you out. So it just depends on the business, where they're at, and what they need.
Shawn, man, thank you so much. Again, if people want to get a hold of you, they could get a hold of you where again? Topresultssolutions.com?
Topresultsconsulting.com is the website. Or you can just reach out to me on social platforms at Shawn Tiberio on everything: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on all three of those at Shawn Tiberio.
Also, I know you have a podcast. Why don't you tell my listeners about your podcast? If they want to listen to you on that side, they can go ahead and check you out over there, because I know you're giving out good content there too. Where is that, Shawn?
Yep. It's on any major podcast player out there: Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, all of those. It's just the Shawn Tiberio Show. And then on YouTube, you can also check out some videos from time to time when we post there at ShawnTiberio.tv. ShawnTiberio.tv will take you right to the YouTube channel. You'll catch some of the old podcast video episodes there. All the audio podcasts are out there on the audio players, and then we've got some new video content coming out.
Perfect. And then I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes, guys. Again, thank you guys for listening. Shawn, thank you for being here. This was amazing. I'm sure that my listeners got a ton of value from you. You really, really laid it out really nicely, very clear. It's a lot. There's a lot of information out there, man, and it's a lot of it's a lot, man. It could be overwhelming, to say the least. That's how I felt in the past when dealing with digital stuff. And like you said, in the world we're living in, guys, we got to adjust. We have to adjust. We have to get our digital presence. Shawn, again, thank you for coming. Guys, thank you for listening. You've been listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Shawn.
Definitely. Thank you.